First, Hillary Clinton protests the White House renovations with deep personal concerns that some Epstein victims might fall out of the walls. Next, our artists showcase the best cover-ups for Nazi tattoos for those running for government who no longer want to be cool. Next are the floral patterns outside of your restaurant attracting fornicators. Find out how adding some mint could help. Next, we review a barbecue spot for freshly sliced windmill meat, promising rare foods like bald eagles you couldn't otherwise eat. Next, Mondami teaches seminar for survival tactics after his socialist policies set in, with such classes as eating rice when there's no longer cutlery. The drugs that conservatives can take to give themselves liberal confidence. And lastly, why the ADP isn't giving jobs data to the Fed and just going with Trump's data of best economy ever. Tariff checks are on the way.
People try and tell you what you gotta do. Don't listen to them unless you think it's true. Follow your heart and your dreams. Follow your heart and your dreams.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Run Your Mouth podcast. It is a pleasure to be with all of you guys today. Starting early because I got a lot to do, and the episode was done. So let's get right to it. Let's make the magic happen. Off the bat, I had the greatest time out in California, hanging out with Brian McWilliams from the Lions of Liberty podcast, and also the banjo guy from up top, Fast Art Mart. He came out for this show that we did in Agawanga, and man, did we have a good time. And I'm very excited. I filmed kind of like a mockumentary. I had a lot of fun writing up the sketches, running around town with Catherine, who filmed it all for me, and we had a good time. Going to be coming out in December. 2 episodes of Porch Tour, Porching, Porch Life. You guys will enjoy it. Anyways, I had a lot of fun filming it, and if you guys are around, we're in the home stretch of porches. This is going to be the end of the porches for the season, and it's cold, so, you know, we're calling it porches, but we're actually indoor tonight. If you're a Connecticut local, Bridgeport, Connecticut, we have outfitted my friend's studio into an incredible comedy room. We did all the construction last night, and we're going to be filming for my buddy Menuhin Hart. I'm actually going to be opening up for him, and he's incredible. If you live in Connecticut, you got to come out. You got to come see it. It's a really dynamic show. He has like a whole sound box, music. There's a lot going on, and it's absolutely hilarious. And then tomorrow night, New York City, people. I'm not doing another New York City show for a long time. This is a great venue. I think tickets are only $10 because I don't need to fly. I don't need any hotel rooms. Got Menuhin opening up for me and another comic. Come on out. And then we got Walpole, Massachusetts at some gun club. That's libertarian. Then we're doing a basement party in Stratham, Mass. And then I'm back at a fans bar in Providence, Rhode Island. The Red Bar, the Red Door. We did it before. It was a cool room. All right, I'm just running through it. Sorry if this is too much plugging, but I need some people to show up and buy some tickets, particularly this weekend because we're filming all the shows. Then I've got next week is Jacksonville, Savannah, and Charleston. Charleston's an early day drinker. That's going to be a good time. And then doing a show outside of New Orleans the Wednesday before Skankfest, out for Skankfest. And then that is it, basically, for the independent shows that I'm putting together for the year. Only exception is I'm going to be doing Steamboat again in, if you want to come and ski with me, you just got to shoot me an email. It's December 19th and 20th. I'll be doing Kyle Ruff shows, and I will be skiing. And then doing another day drinker at Inga's, which is down in Denver, Colorado, We're going to get after it early, 1 p.m., going to get hammered, do a full show. It's the end of all the topical jokes that I wrote all this year, shelving it, throwing it out, getting on a flight, and that's it for the year, except for New Year's with Sam Tripoli in New Jersey. All right, there you go. That's all the plugging. Don't have to do any more plugs. Throw out all the dates. Now everyone's aware of what's going on. Don't miss out on the porches, all right? Porchtour.com. Come hang out and be on the lookout in December. We're going to put the stuff up. Robbie, for the love of God, fix your mic. What's the problem with my mic? Do I have bad sound at the moment? What's the problem with my mic? What's the issue that we got? Tell me. I will make adjustments because I got a lot of good topics I'd like to cover, and I don't want bad sound for it. Anyone else hearing problems with my mic? Is there an issue? It's like a static. I don't hear it. There's a staticky thing. Anyone else? John Popik saying it sounds good. Someone else saying it's minor. I don't know. Anyways, I got a new mic and things that are coming up, but this mic should be a problem. Now you're just messing with my confidence. Everyone else telling me that it's the same issue that you were having on Problem. Base saying it doesn't bother me. All right, whatever. I'm sorry. I gotta listen. I'm gonna be home in December and making some adjustments. Although honestly, it's pretty. Got the expensive Rodecaster Duo board here. Not a cheap piece of equipment. Going directly in. I don't know what the issue is, but I will delve in. We will discover that. We will figure it out. Anyways, let's get into the episode. Starting with, I do have a couple new condemnations that are in order. And the first thing that I would like to condemn is I've gotten into fancier eggs. You know, every once in a while, you just read things, you panic about what you're consuming, and you make this step-up adjustment. Like, I stopped drinking tap water over fluoride, and now I'm just filled with microplastics, and I've discovered that there's still fluoride in plastic water, in bottled water. But every once in a while, you know, you turn on NPR, and they scare the shit out of you about, like, what chemicals exist in the food, and you're like, well, I can't consume that anymore. And so one time, I don't know why, probably just scrolling Instagram, someone was going off about how pasture-raised eggs are the only eggs that you should be eating. And I was like, eggs are cheap enough. I'll just start cooking them at home. And I got to tell you, I prefer the pasture-raised eggs. I have like 4 of those every morning. Holds me over for a while. Not fiending for cake for a little while. The pasture-raised eggs are a good time. But then the last time I was in the store, you know, pasture-raised eggs, they used to be on the top of the mountain of the eggs that you could purchase. There were no eggs fancier unless you were going to like England to like have a butler who is going to fetch you like quail eggs or some shit. Pasture-raised eggs were the top. And there was a confusing amount of eggs. You got, like, at first, it was like, all right, you got the white eggs, but the brown eggs are a little bit better. Then you've got the free-range brown eggs. Then you got the truly free-range. Then you got organic free-range. And then someone's explained the pasture. I was like, all right, I'll just stick with pasture-raised. That's simple enough. And then all of a sudden, I saw the other day that they upped it, that the company I've been buying it from now has an organic. I'm like, this is too much. I'm going back to white eggs. You guys pushed it one too far. I was on board with the higher quality eggs until you pushed it one too far. They're like, you had me. I was a sucker for your scheme, and then you took it one past the place where I was willing to go. All right, so my first condemnation goes out to all the egg companies. Second condemnation is for the credit card companies, and that I seem to be having a problem with my chip. And I don't like that they make me work for just being able to swipe the card. Now, I will agree with you. The tap system is more convenient than the swipe system. The insert system was also more convenient. You know, there's levels. Tapping, most convenient. Insert, second most convenient. I kind of like the sexuality of having to try and tap on top a couple times, and that doesn't work, and then you insert. You got to warm up the machine. I kind of like that. But if those two things don't work immediately, I don't know why the tapping and the inserting is like the eating your vegetables of trying to make a payment where the machine keeps telling you got to try that another time. No, and before I'll let you swipe, you got to try it. It's like, why are you punishing me for not being able to do the more convenient thing? I'm not against the more convenient thing. I'm not refusing to try the more convenient thing. I'd happily partake in what is more convenient. The only reason I'm choosing to swipe the card instead is because the more convenient options for some reason didn't work. I don't know why you have to make me look like an asshole and hold up the coffee line as it keeps telling me to insert, reinsert, got to insert the fourth time. It's like you got to hack the machine. It's like the unplugging and replugging of credit card machines that you've got to insert the credit card 5 times before it'll let you swipe. Just let me swipe. If there's swiping enthusiasts out there, does it affect the credit card companies if you just want to show up? You're old school. You're a swiper. You identify as a swiper. For some reason, you're against tapping. Is there a reason why you need the guy to do the whole ritual of tap, 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 insert, 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 wait 3 minutes for the thing to reset, now you can finally swipe? Fix that. If you're out there and you work at the credit card companies, just relay that information, that it's infuriating. All right, now let's dig into the East Wing Donald Trump nonsense for a moment here. And what I'm really appreciating about this is that Donald Trump is getting everyone obsessed with his game, which is renovations. Because honestly, that's all. If Donald Trump could spend 4 years in office putting up gold and redoing the carpets and having everyone celebrate him for redoing the carpets in the Oval Office, he would much prefer that to tariffs or making America great again. If we would celebrate Donald Trump for the buildings that he built, instead of trying to fix the country, he would just be a guy who does nice carpeting. That's what happened with Donald Trump. We didn't give him enough points for the style that he brought into his buildings. If we all every morning woke up and just said, before we said our prayers or before people pledged allegiance in schools, they just went, Donald Trump, greatest carpets ever, he'd be cool. He'd be a good man. He'd be all squared away and settled. But instead, you know, he's got to threaten to tariff this guy. He's got to start a war with this guy. He's got to send this to that guy. He's got to blow up votes in Venezuela. He's got to do all sorts of stuff to try and earn our praise. And there is something fun about that. He's living his dream of just getting private companies to pay for developments in the White House. And he has all of us talking about it. And then we all have to give style points that when Hillary Clinton slammed him for it, he included in the renovations that have taken place at the White House the scandal of all of the stuff that they stole from the White House. All right, let's get into it. We got all sorts of topics. One more condemnation in order, and I hope that this does not become a trend, but for some reason, Detroit venues are banning smokeless tobacco products, and you gotta ask, why? Who is harmed by the zins that we're putting in our mouths? If anything, it's getting people to drink more. Let me tell you, nothing shocks you back into sobriety quite like overdoing it on zins. I mean, there is cocaine. It's just not a drug that I like. But, you know, you go heavy enough on the zins, you're back to sober. You should legally be allowed to drive. Officers should be able to pull you over. Have you been drinking tonight? Yes, I have. But I've got 20 milligrams of zins shoved into all of my cheeks, so I'm good to go. And they're like, way to be responsible, young man. We need more people like you out on the road. And why? Can someone explain this one to me? Why do you go after our nice individuals like us who aren't good at sitting still and rely on a nice smokeless tobacco product just to sit down, have a beer, and actually sit? It's the why of the week. Can anyone explain this to me? Did someone do too many zins, pass out? Did somebody start a fight because they were on too many zins? Zins are calming. They're a calming agent. I don't understand why any stadium would have to get rid of them. All right, and now we got a whole bunch of Twitter clips here. We can take a couple comments. I do have my tripod breaking everything. Blocking my view. Drew Zimmerman just giving you the heads up more so. All right, listen, we'll get it all fixed. Don't worry. Junior saying egg quality matters. Find a farm to buy from. I could get into that lifestyle. Trading some stuff down at the farm for some other stuff. Are you going to lose your food stamps this weekend? I'm not currently on food stamps, but it does seem like a good time. Just government money showing up to the supermarket. You don't really need to work, and you know that you're being fed. Angry Porcupine, no tobacco and zins, nicotine pouches. Oh, you're saying that this isn't considered, maybe I read it wrong, and the smokeless tobacco just means the vapes? I don't know. I seem to have thought that article included the zins, but who knows? Maybe I just read the headline, got real angry, and moved on. Things like that happen. All right. Now, here comes a video for our next Why of the Week. Roll the clip, producer man, and let me know if I have sound, which we should.
Tonight, the alarming scene on Interstate 59 in Mississippi. A truck carrying research monkeys, possibly infected from hepatitis to COVID, crashing on the highway. Here's Mola Lengi.
Tonight, the urgent search for dangerous research monkeys that escaped from the wreckage of a crash on a Mississippi highway.
We got 21 monkeys that was on this. We got 5 of them on the run.
Video showing several monkeys crawling in the grass. Heavily armed officers responding to the scene. Authorities say a truck carrying nearly 24 rhesus monkeys from Tulane University overturned on Interstate 59 in Jasper County.
Here's one of the monkeys right here. There's one sitting right there.
At least 6 monkeys escaping. Officials warning they might be aggressive towards people and were potentially infected with hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID.
They may have to neutralize something like
All
that
right,
in a minute.
my first question
And late
is,
today, police confirming all.
is Fauci having sex with and giving STDs to monkey? Because when they say might be aggressive and might have all of the STDs, they're letting you know that they've been putting STDs into monkeys. There's no reason to assume that monkeys might have STDs unless I'm just not familiar with monkey science. It could be that Jane Goodall woke up every morning with some new cold sores because she was spending too much time around the monkeys. I don't know monkey culture. I can't imagine monkeys are practicing safe sex or getting tested. And so it could be that monkeys are just typically riddled with STDs, that if your child manages to go to the zoo and get bit by a monkey, it's going to wake up tomorrow with hepatitis C and a cold sore. I don't know enough about monkey science, but I've never heard before that monkeys are just riddled with STDs. I was not aware of that monkey science. So when they say might have STDs, it sounds like the lab that was holding on to these monkeys was shooting them up with STDs. Are we ever going to get an explanation for what was going on with these monkeys? And post-COVID, why are people putting diseases into animals and then moving them across highways? Can we just go with, of things that need to be solved, let's start with bases on North Korea. If you're doing weird shit to animals and diseases, there's no reason to be moving diseased monkeys across this nation's highways. And how is Fauci involved? Those are the things I would like for the media to answer for me. I'm going to guess that this was his private stash of monkeys that he likes to have sex with and trying to figure out how he can create the next AIDS. And so he keeps putting the other STDs into them and then sleeping with the monkeys and seeing if that's the way to create the next one. I can't prove any of this. This is all just allegedly. I'm just going from the heart right now. That's why you see me fondling my own tits, is because as I express my concern for the STD-riddled monkeys that are now on our nation's highways, I can feel, using my intuitions and the highly receptive receiver I got from God in understanding the news and what's going on in our environment, only to assume that Fauci has been putting STDs into monkeys and then sleeping with them to try and create the next AIDS. Can't prove it, but that's what my intuitions are telling me. It's another just why. Why are we doing this? Have we not learned from COVID? Do we want to shut down the country again over things that were made by labs? You know, just go back to working on boner pills and things that actually help people. Next article brought to you by YoKratom.com, home of the $6 kilo. Only place in the entire world where you can get an entire kilo of kratom for just $60. Junior, did you see what those monkeys were wearing? I did not. Were they wearing lingerie or something? Did Fauci have them dressed up? Wade Mosher, RIM with sound issues makes it better every time. The producer man rules. All right, listen, I'll keep the producer man if everyone really likes the guy who keeps destroying all of the expensive equipment that I have to keep tinkering with. But, you know, if that's something that you guys enjoy, if you guys enjoy the producer man, who am I to deprive the fans of the content that they like? Inflation accelerates to 3%, but is less than expected. And you got to love when they're celebrating, well, we're stealing a little bit less money than we expected. We expected to be stealing more of your money, and we're stealing your money. And, you know, if you just hold on to it because you earned it and you want to save it, it is going to go the way of being worthless. But we're doing it at a slower rate than we expected to do it at. They're actually failing at what this is how bad government is that they're looking to actually steal more of your money, and they couldn't hit their target of how much of it they were able to do at the rate that they had hoped to do it. They're actually coming forward and going, listen, we're sorry about our inefficiencies here over at government. And because of the mistakes we made, we're actually not going to be able to steal as much of your money via inflation this year. All right. Next up, we've got Trump slams reports he plans to name White House ballroom after himself. Fake news. I remember I saw that article. I was like, yeah, of course he's going to call it the Trump ballroom. Of course. Of course he will. But then, luckily, sometimes you wait a couple days before you actually broadcast, and then you find out what is fake news. I'm just going to assume that it'll be called something like greatest ballroom ever. Nobody's ever seen a ballroom like this. Unless, of course, you go to Mar-a-Lago. Not quite. It's the second greatest anyone's ever seen. Wouldn't that be a great title for the room? Second greatest ballroom anyone's ever seen. But nobody else could have built a ballroom this great at this location. And it wasn't paid for by the taxpayers directly, just through bribes for better government contracts. That could all be right up there on the name. Next article, Democratic donors sit on sidelines. And I think that this one is actually very telling of politics because obviously you don't want to spend a ton of money on the losing team. People spent more money than ever trying to get Kamala Harris into office. Kamala Harris did not get into office. And then you turn around and you're like, man, what do we spend all this money on? But I think it speaks to the returns people are actually looking for on their investment of that if you're going to back aside and hope that you get some government contracts or some other favorable treatment, and then you turn around and the other side's just annoyed at you because you spent all the money on the other team, it's not a very good investment. And so now you got the Democratic donors who are like, well, we both don't think you're going to win, and we think we're just going to be pissing off Republicans, so we're not really sure why this is worth our money. And luckily for us, listen, I know this came up on the last part of the problem, but I was watching Gavin Newsom in an interview the other day where they were slamming him for all the faults in California. And man, is that guy good at phone sales because he just spins it and he lies. And you know that he's lying, but you also could see why people would be like, oh, this guy really has a handle on stuff. And I'm leaning towards he's going to end up being their candidate. But at the moment, as you see all these freaks and lunatics on the Democratic Party and the entire thing falling apart, and it's nice to know that as bad as Republicans are blowing it and as bad as Donald Trump is, it's probably not so bad that we're going to get stuck with the Democrat because they have no talent on their bench. And it's also nice to see that behind the scenes, the donors don't actually feel like the Democrats are winning anything right now. And so even they want to just sit on the sideline and not fork over the cash. However, Harris hints that she's not done. And this is why you really got to be careful empowering stupid people or sleeping. Like, it's just, they come back to bite you. I mean, this is like a horror movie where you build a Frankenstein monster and it just won't go away. You convince a dumbass that she's actually not a dumbass and she's too much of a dumbass to realize that she's not helping anybody. Someone really needs to cut Kamala Harris the go-away check. That you had one chance at this thing, and it was because you were so stupid that Biden put you in to make him look good. And then he ended up being such a train wreck, we had no choice. And you played your cards right in that you teamed up with the deep state and said that you will help unseat him as long as they back you. And that was clearly a mistake. Yet Obama this past week apparently quoted for cursing out Nancy Pelosi when Nancy Pelosi publicly backed Kamala Harris instead of trying to send it to the to a vote of who would actually be able to run in the Democratic primaries. And obviously, he was sharp enough to know this lady can't possibly win. And if we want any chance at not having Donald Trump for 4 years, we're going to need somebody else. But Kamala Harris, man, it's that liberal confidence I was talking about in the intro, where she was just celebrated by enough people that wanted to play ball. She was so close to the top, and it was because everybody was carrying her. And she just doesn't have the self-awareness to realize she's not helping her cause. They're going to have to recall her or sneak her into the Epstein files or something. All right, let's see what we got going on in the comments. Hey, Robbie, what is your favorite breakfast sandwich order? I mean, dude, I love a bagel on eggs. Like, there's all sorts of different variations. You could put different meats on it. If I still ate bacon and cheese is fantastic. I'm out of both the bacon game. I'm out of the cheese game. But I mean, any version of good eggs on a bagel with some hot sauce, and then maybe you want to add some deli meats, maybe you want to add some steak, maybe you want to add some vegetables on there. But I'm just saying, at the core of it, if you've got a high enough quality bagel and good enough eggs going on top of that with some decent hot sauce, everything else is bonus and extra from there. Junior just wants to say yes. Thank you for agreeing with me. Junior, does AOC run for the Dem presidential nomination? I don't think so. She just backed off of California governor, and I guess in a primary, maybe she can show up to confirm the fact that she'll be back at polling at 2%. I think the primary includes Gavin Newsom, AOC, some rich person we're not thinking of, and that most likely Newsom takes it. Maybe Shapiro throws it in there and gets some momentum. Maybe Beto O'Rourke comes back around to be reminded that nobody likes him. But I don't think AOC is going to go for it again, and I think it's in part because the donors do not like her. It's Brewster's Millions. She's like, I can waste even more of your money. I know last time I wasted $1.4 billion in a failed election, but let's go for more. There's some like weird version of the producers out there where somebody's making money with the more money they can spend and lose an election. Somebody make that version of the producers where they back Kamala Harris because they know that they can run all this money through their marketing departments and somehow they make less money if she actually wins. And then something happens. She takes a magical potion and she's suddenly smart and likable, and then she's winning. Lee K. Walker, minimal state interference, bacon, invisible hand cheese, and free-range egg. I'm okay with all of that. AOC versus Harris at the primaries would be interesting. It's going to be the team versus vampire versus team werewolf of the era. Mark Cuban might make a play. You know, Mark Cuban, I feel like 4 years ago, Mark Cuban had some swagger, and over the last couple of years has lost it. Maybe it was the COVID preachiness, but Mark Cuban would be the style billionaire that I'm talking about to make a Trump-like play of, I'm great at business, I'm great at management, everybody likes me, I know how to do television. But thus far, he said that he didn't want to do it to his family. All right, last comment, and then we're getting to our next news story. Tom, if viewer numbers are anything to go by, Nick Fuentes might one day become president. Could be. That would be fairly wild, to say the least. All right, next topic brought to you by sheathunderwear.com. Got a whole bunch of Twitter clips we're going to play for you guys. Might be a shorter episode, but everybody, go load up on Sheath, loyal sponsor of the Run Your Mouth podcast. Most comfortable underwear that's ever graced the balls of man. I don't go anywhere without the sheaths. Thanks to the donuts I eat and the squats I do, I got big, fat, heavy thighs, and I can't have these things rubbing together. And you know what keeps everything calm, cool, and collected, sweat-free, without that tension of friction legs rubbing up against each other? It's Sheath Underwear. Use promo code RYM. You get yourself 20% off the greatest underwear that's ever graced the balls of man. All right. Got a bunch of clips. Let's roll them. Go from here. Play it, producer man.
Okay, I posted a video about men not liking me, and the comment section is just absolutely frying me at the moment. But the amount of people that brought up my nose ring is wild. And then someone said I look like a Democrat because of the nose ring. So I'm taking it out. I just want to see, because I don't take this thing out. I just want to see. Oh my god, my light is so bright. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to put this back in. And oh my god. Oh, I got it. Oh fuck, I like it. God. Sorry. Bad reaction. I like the no nose ring. Oh my god, I never thought I'd say that.
All right, listen. Nose ring. This lady's neither here nor there. But I just want to point out for all the Chad gamers out there, the Republicans on the internet, the people, if you've got easy markers on the women to avoid, don't share the tips with them. if you've got easy things that just lets you know who the psychopaths are that you don't want in your life, and then you go on the internet and you start broadcasting it, you let them know, unless what you end up doing is you're giving some women a chance at retribution and the real psychopaths the chance to double down. And then you really have a guideline for who's an absolute psychopath. Now, I thought the video that I was playing was the Hot Chicks for Cuomo. I actually thought I took that last video out. Producer man, you know, these are the faults that come to the producer man. But hopefully this is the video of hot women for Cuomo. Roll the clip, producer guy.
Okay, I posted a video about men not liking me.
All right, maybe this one is Hot Chicks for Cuomo. Roll the clip, producer man.
They're doing everything by the book.
Why does Chicago have the highest murder rate of all the big cities?
Well, we are not in the top 30 in terms of our murder rate. Indeed,
the
our murder rate it has been cut in half over the last 4 years, and every year it's gone down by double digits. And if you look at all of the violent crime over the last 4 years,
here's a map.
They've all gone down.
U.S. cities, 17.47 per 100,000 population. Chicago is number one over Philadelphia, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Phoenix, Los Angeles, New York, and San Diego.
What I'm explaining to you
now
is
you're
when
talking
you want
about
to fight
violent
crime. Look, you can pull statistics up.
No, these are murders.
I'm explaining to you that our murder rate has been cut in half. And very importantly, Brett, and you got to hear this, very importantly, we've been doing the things that are necessary to bring crime down, right? We've invested in community violence interruption. We've invested in police.
All right. I mean, obviously, guys lying through his teeth actually went on to a Republican program. So he's got to deal with follow questions, which is the kryptonite. All of these characters are like Will Ferrell in Austin Powers, where if you just ask them the question 3 times, then they completely fold. Most of the time, you only get to see them asked it twice, and so they get away with it. But 3 times, and they just fold. And what I loved most about this one is, you know, he's leaning towards, listen, I don't want to play the game of quoting statistics. And then he quotes the statistic of, well, we've gotten it down in half. Well, isn't that a statistic? I mean, why is that statistic better than still? Well, then what happened beforehand in your state that this was at double and you are still number one? I guess those are still valid questions of why is Chicago so horribly run that a year ago your crime stats were at double this and you're still leading the nation after slicing it in half? What was going on here that the situation got this bad? The Hot Chicks for Cuomo must be gone. I don't know what happened to the clip, but there was a video of some lady. I think she's also done a bunch of Israeli influencer stuff. She was making a hotline of Hot Chicks for Cuomo, and I'm guessing that got shut down as just Cuomo's victims were calling and going, he was very Italian towards me. Very Italian. All right, here we go. Next clip. Flying through it. Now we've got, and it's nice to see how the Democratic Party has zero bench and zero talent whatsoever. I'm sure some of you guys saw this, but here is Gavin Newsom just hanging out, being his authentic, true self. And by the way, this is what we need. We need more of the Democrats in front of very black audiences where they just turn into like Chris Farley in Black Sheep, where he's yelling things. He gets a little bit too into it, starts yelling things like "kill Whitey," because Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has turned it on before. AOC, she rotates between 4 different personalities, that's who she is behind closed doors. She's 4 women living inside of 1 woman, and her boyfriend can tell you that that's actually her authentic self. That she doesn't code switch. She's actually 4 different psychopathic characters. But the more that you can get these people in front of audiences that they're trying to be cool in front of and code switching and showcasing that there's no actual person there, it's just a blatant liar trying on different personalities to see what you might like. That will be a win in terms of just continuously showcasing that the Democrats have zero bench. All right, roll the clip.
But also, you know, it was also about paying the bills, man. And it was just like hustling. And so I was out there kind of raising myself, turning on the TV, started, you know, just getting obsessed, sitting there with the Wonder Bread and 5 stacks of,
it's like the White
peanut
Stack
butter
5
and
story.
Come on. Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Man,
That's
look,
how-
man. Are you talking about me?
Young
that's
YG.
it.
YG,
But
man, I do
every
it. I
day,
do it.
every day in the backyard, just bouncing the basketball, throwing the ball against the wall until the ball is just like fraying, man, and your arms
Entertaining
fall
yourself.
off. That's it, whole thing. So just and then then this student that was shitty student is in the back with his head down. All of a sudden, started throwing the baseball a little faster than everyone else.
Yeah, bro, I was just at home drinking my grape soda, bro. You know what I mean, dog? Nothing rips like the grape soda. When you ain't got no bills, you ain't got no money, and you hit the streets, bro, and you just start dealing some drugs on the corner. You start small, but then you start hustling your way up. You know what I mean, dog? Dogs, you know what I mean? I've just been hustling, my dog. There you go. Gavin Newsom. That's a real human being there, everybody. We all know that. The Gavin Newsom grew up real poor, eating Wonder Bread, bad student, but he got by off of his hoops. Let's make the real Disney story of Gavin Newsom's upbringing, of hard living, of macaroni and cheese and white bread until he found his way on the basketball course. Did he even play ball? I'm gonna guess that he was in like band and he was like the ballerina guy with the stupid tube that had the strings coming off of it. Whatever that event is at the Olympics, that's what Gavin Newsom was doing growing up. All right, a couple more clips and then we'll call it an episode. What do we got?
A friend of mine, talking about donors, a friend of mine, a man that's great. I'm not going to use his name unless he lets me do it. Susie can tell you about this, but he called us the other day and he said, I'd like to contribute any shortfall you have because of the Democrat shutdown. I'd like to personally contribute any shortfall you have with the military, because I love the military and I love the country, and any shortfall, if there's a shortfall, I'll contribute it. And today he sent us a check for $130 million.
You share who that is?
I would love to tell you he doesn't really want the recognition, if you want to know the truth, but he gave us a check for $130 million. And that's going to go to which was sort of a shortfall, yeah. And that's going to go to the military, yeah.
Isn't there just something so pathetic that amidst all the money that our government spends, we can't seem to figure out how to govern well enough to build Trump a ballroom, that we need private donors that all have business in front of Donald Trump, and we also can't get our soldiers paid. And so, I mean, how do we feel about private individuals paying the paychecks of soldiers in the military? Now, it turns out that the guy who did it was a banker, makes a lot of donations to the Republican Party. Is it Barclays? You guys help me out in the chat. I forgot the name. I was trying to dig in to see, because I figured for sure if somebody's spending money with the military to keep it in line, it's got to be someone who's got military contracts or is somehow reliant on military business. I found no connections there. So this could just be a good, honest Republican, and maybe he's got some other interest in making Donald Trump look good. But I'm asking the chat, I guess it's better that the soldiers getting paid than not getting paid. And I guess it's a nice donation that it doesn't have to come from the taxpayers. But there's a part of me that just thinks it is a little bit pathetic that our government so can't govern that with all the money being spent on some of these things, we need private individuals to step in and do it. And then also, it just seems to have massive conflicts of interest, because I can't believe anyone's just making these donations for free. All right. I will wait on the name, and I will wait on if you guys have any hot takes on maybe you like it. Maybe you like the savings. Maybe you think it's so wonderful that instead of the taxpayers having to foot these bills, Donald Trump has his billionaire friends doing it instead. All right, next clip.
The founder of Binance. Can you explain why you chose to pardon him, and did it have anything to do with his involvement in your
Which one?
family's?
Who is that?
The founder of Binance. He has an involvement in your own family's crypto.
All right, so you got to start with that he's trying to pretend I don't even know who you're talking about. So this starts off with Donald Trump going, yes, the crypto guy who got a pardon, who supposedly my family with the Truth Coin or whatever it is has a bunch of business with. I knew nothing about which guy? That's a guy. I did that. Someone did that. Who? This person? Guy? Crypto? What? So let's pull it back. because it starts off with gay. What gay? Gay?
The founder of Binance. Can you explain why you chose to pardon him, and did it have anything to do with his involvement in your
Which one? Who is
family's?
that?
The founder of Binance. He has a involvement in your own
The
family's
recent
crypto
one, yes.
business.
Which, by the way, I don't think anyone else was pardoned last week, or at least I didn't see any news of anyone else being pardoned. And you would think with all the Biden auto pen scandal of not being aware of who you're pardoning, you would think Trump would be right on this one. He would absolutely know who he just gave a pardon to. Continue the clip.
I believe we're talking about the same person because I do pardon a lot of people. I don't know. He was recommended by a lot of people. A lot of people say that. Are you talking about the crypto person? A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty of anything. That what he did. Well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about. You know nothing about nothing. You're fake news.
It starts with, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then it devolves into, and you don't know nothing about nothing. You don't know nothing. You're fake news. All they did was ask a question. Hey, why did you pardon the guy? And then particularly amidst all of, well, it's because people made a recommendation. Is that all it takes? All it takes is your staff making a recommendation? As you're making the whole stink. And by the way, take down all of Biden's staff that covered for him. Take away all the pardons. I'm all for it. But I'm just saying, while you're giving Biden shit for not being aware of his pardons, you turn around and first you're like, I don't even know what pardon you're talking about. Oh yeah, that one, well, it came as a recommendation. I don't actually know why. And then he just turns it into, and how dare you fake news because you don't know nothing about the thing I don't know nothing about either.
Let me just tell you that he was somebody that, as I was told, I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever met him. But I've been told by a lot of support. He had a lot of support. And they said that what he did is not even a crime. It wasn't a crime, that he was persecuted by the Biden administration. And so I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of very good people.
I mean, isn't that just describing corruption at the request of other people? I didn't actually dig into it. I didn't decide if it was fair or not. I'm not aware. I mean, sure, I'm the one who signed off on it, but it was off the recommendation of other people. I mean, maybe make the argument this why the guy has staff. The staff came to him and said, "Hey, listen, we think that this guy was wrongfully done dirty by the Bidens." But you would think if you're giving out the pardons and you're going after Biden for reckless pardoning, you would actually review the case yourself and have a little bit more to say about it. All right. I think we can call an episode there. Let's see what other topics I had. All nonsense. Should we do one more clip? We'll do one more clip. All right, so they came out with some new report with, I'd already played it before, of one individual who was doing the pardons and had said that Biden wasn't aware of the pardons, but then he also said he wasn't the one who actually prepared the emails that recommended the pardon. There's a lot of, it was that guy, that guy was telling me, and it was the person over there, and it got sent over there, and then this guy said this thing. And good for the Trump administration, to whatever extent that they want to dig in and showcase the American people that the Democrats were lying to you and that they had a person who was fully mentally incompetent running the office, and that the Democrats are even more unreliable than the Republicans because they will lie to you about a guy who's running the show who has full dementia. So, to whatever extent you guys can unravel that story, and you guys can go down the Run Your Mouth archive. I probably said this year one into his presidency, of that everyone who pretended like this guy was mentally competent, all of the staff members that were covering for him, they should all be held criminally responsible for it. And I find someone else who was on that one as early as I was. All right, so I'm all for this. Go after them all. Expose the story as well as you can. Comer, though, big old goofball, could not prove any Biden financial crimes, did not put that stuff forward in a compelling way, and I believe he is on this. They put out some new report, but basically recommending further charges. Now, I was watching this video. I don't know exactly who this aide was. I do know that he did a fair amount of tweeting for Joe Biden. And for the first, 4 minutes of this, he's just going on about how I'm not aware that any decisions were made in Joe Biden's name without Joe Biden's awareness. And he just keeps going, I'm not aware of anything that would indicate that he wasn't fully competent. I'm not aware that anything was done without Joe Biden's knowledge. And then, as they continue to press him on it, you finally get what the process was that allows him to say, I wasn't aware of Joe Biden not being aware of something. I'll roll the clip and then we can give further commentary. Producer man.
I asked a couple follow-up questions. You were just asked a number of questions of whether or not you were aware that President Biden made any executive decisions without approval, or staff made any executive decisions without the president's authorization or approval. That you recall those questions being asked?
Yes.
And you said that you were not aware of any. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's kind of literally not aware of any, right? Because you wouldn't have been in the room.
I'm not aware of any decisions that were made in the president's name that were not made by the president.
But you wouldn't actually have direct knowledge of that.
Well, you referenced it in our questions last hour. My understanding is that there was a process by which he would make decisions through decision memos, things like that. I mentioned in one meeting that I can recall watching him go through and make decisions about, I believe they were nominees. And so my understanding was there was a process that was in place that would, allow the president to make expedient decisions about.
So you were there. What evidence do you have that Joe Biden was actually making the decisions? And he goes, well, I didn't really see Joe Biden making the decisions, but I believe that there was a process in place that behind closed doors, he was able to review the information given to him and that he was making the decisions. So in other words, you don't know. You don't know who is making the decisions. And I'm going to venture to guess this little weasel. I wish I wasn't bald so I could hate on bald men, but, at least I got some shoulders on me. So I can hate on this guy for being a weaselly little thin dweeb, worm, gerbil. Looks like he just crawled out of someone's anus, and now he's here to give testimony. And my guess is all of these people are doing their best job of lying about the gross mental incompetence that Joe Biden had. But in this case, as he keeps going, what's the evidence of the fact that Joe Biden was actually making these decisions? Well, from what I understand, there was a process in place for him to be reviewing the information, making the decision. So you don't actually know that he was making any of the decisions. Roll the tape.
Things before his desk. And that was just my understanding of how it worked.
Did you ever receive any decision memos back with his initials or signature on them?
No.
And you never personally presented any decision memos to the president?
No.
All right, so it's actually that you were just not aware of any decisions. It's not that no unauthorized decisions took place.
I wasn't aware of any, and that was not my understanding of the process.
I want to
real twitchy face there.
Go back. I think it was Exhibit 2. Yes. What was the process for approval for tweets that came from your official handle?
All right, we will call it there, everybody. That is our episode. Back next week, Wednesday, with a brand new Run Your Mouth podcast. In the meantime, right now, go to porchstore.com. A couple more dates on the year. Like I said, the next 2 weeks are real busy, and then done with the independent shows except for a one-off in December and a couple scattered gigs. Gonna repeat it. If you're still here and you're still listening, I see 229 of you in the live chat. There's enough time to get in a car, hop a flight, come out, film it all weekend. Gonna compile the stuff and mix it up with some sketches. Bridgeport, Connecticut tonight, New York City tomorrow night, Friday in Walpole, Massachusetts, Saturday, New Hampshire basement mansion party in Stratham, New Hampshire. And then Sunday at the Red Door in Rhode Island. And then next week, we got the Florida run back on that really fun rooftop for another rooftop party. That was beautiful, everybody. Right by Jacksonville, right by the football stadium there. Then back to Savannah. That was a fun show last year at the Artist Loft. And then Charleston for a day drinker. First time doing it. And then if you guys live out in New Orleans, doing a show not far from New Orleans the Wednesday before Skankfest. That's our show, porchstore.com. Thanks for hanging out. Sayonara.